Hello, this is Anthony. Let's walk and talk. So today it's gonna be a little different. We're gonna freestyle this a bit more. You're gonna say more than usual. Yeah, because I have a subject that I want to discuss, but I'm not exactly sure where I'm gonna be led with it. So we're gonna just start here, and we're gonna work through kind of what's been stirring internally. You know, as many of you know, I've been blessed enough, or I've blessed myself enough, or however, to travel really all over the world. And in that, I'm not the type of person at this point in my juncture that travels for tourism. On the contrary, for me, I prefer to travel for connection, culture, food, to understand people better, to understand the world better, and in that, to be able to have a better, connection with the all, with the universe, with Source, because you begin to understand when you take this path and you begin to just follow a path that you feel called to follow, that the world unfolds to you in its own special way, and that own special way is a very magical way for me. Now, I can't speak for others. The former version of me used to be very much a planner. And after all this change happened in my life, I don't plan anymore. And the reason I just don't plan is because after having taken one trip where I just trusted, I trusted the universe to guide me where I was meant to go, I had the most amazing and incredible experience in my life. And so since then, every set of travels has been the same. But today what I want to talk about is I want to talk about people, us, why we are the way we are. You see, we talk a lot about ego on this channel. And, sometimes the ego gets a bad rap because there's purpose in it, just like there's purpose in everything. But there's also a shadow aspect to everything. And the thing about it is that most people don't understand that without that shadow aspect, in duality of life, you can't fully understand the full spectrum of life. And the problem is that, the ego uses things. See, the ego is essentially separation. That's what it is. It creates an illusion that you are an island of your own, and that you are connected to no one, and your main goal is to just protect you on your journey, not understanding, I would say the spiritual truth, but also things that science and even psychology to this point are starting to show, that we are all connected, that really we're all one. And the issue with that is that you begin to see that because of ego, early on, people grouped together in tribes. And the purpose was to just stay alive. The purpose was to just be able to exist in this world. So we're told. Now, you can go down that rabbit hole of the so we're told for yourself. I'm not gonna get as much into that aspect of it now. But so what you notice then is that because of this tribe mentality that we've gotten ourselves in, it creates a great amount of separation and strife internally to us. And until we get to a point where we're able to overcome that and see things for how they really are, we won't get out of that dynamic. You're going to ask what I mean by that. Well, here's what I mean. You see, we started off with, like in the Americas, we had different tribes, like Native American tribes, And that was similar everywhere. You know, you had different civilizations that band and group together. And then what happened is, you know, the illusion of lack in terms of resources happens. Ego gets involved. People choose to try to conquer. Conquest occurs, and then in that conquest, culture is you know, brought, you know, different cultures brought into different areas. But the thing that we miss is this: the tribes never went away. The tribes are here and have been here. The only difference is now what we call tribes, we now call countries, you see. And, you know, when you start viewing the world from that perspective, then you start seeing, again, we just expanded the clique. We expanded from tribes to different aspects. And these different aspects create different experiences. But the problem is that when you have a lot of what we perceive as resources, you're able to manipulate all of these cliques to do what you want to do. You're seeing this today. You're seeing this all over the world. The reason this is important, it's important to bring up, is because it is a game. It's truly a game. And until you understand that it's a game, it's difficult to be able to succeed at the game, overcome the game, or even change the game for that matter. Now I say that, and it's an important aspect of this video, because when you begin to understand that, you know, internally the ego is locked into a tribe mentality, but then when you start to meet people from other cultures, you start to travel to other countries, what you recognize is people are exactly the same everywhere in the world. Exactly the same. We are no different. Every group of people in every country want the same things for their families, for themselves. That's it. It's that simple. And until we get to a point where we understand that, we're never going to be able to come together, you see, because of the size of countries, or the view of countries, or the amount of economic development or wealth that run through a country. All these countries all have their own little self-images of themselves compared to the world, just like you as an individual have your self-image of yourself compared to everyone else. And until you're able to really take a step back and view that and question that and wonder why you actually have that belief system in you, you can't change, and neither can the world change. You see, the ego, sometimes I feel like it's an overused word, but it's the best way to describe the duality in us. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. When you take a step back, you're not actually, it doesn't make you better or smarter than anyone else. It just allows you to see the spectrum easier. And when you see the spectrum easier, that's when things can change, because then you see the patterns. And when you see the patterns, that's when you can start to understand the aspects of life that are programmed and manipulated. And you can choose to not engage with those things. It's also within self. When you start to see patterns in self, what you begin to see and understand then is that you are directed by a set of principles that you were programmed to believe. And until you take a step back and see them and question some of those things, you're not able to overcome the programming. The part that I find even more interesting is that people who begin this journey, they get to a part where there's a doorway for them. And what happens is they stand in that doorway and they can see into the past and how their ego and their belief systems locked them into a tribe, and how that locked them into a cult or culture. And they can see how that has never benefited them. And they can look through the door and they can see the possibilities on the other side. But what amazes me is how difficult it is for people to actually take the step through the door. In some cases, they hold on to the door frame. Maybe they'll take a peek in and step in. But fear locks them in, a fear that's not real. Why is it not real? Because it's an illusion. Because the more you change self, the more you understand these principles, as we've talked about in the past. You start to understand that the world around you changes, your experiences change. So I guess if I were to surmise this whole video in one snippet, it would be that being able to take a look at self, being able to take a look at ego, being able to take a look at the illusion of separation, and then not just apply it to self, but apply it to the world. Not just apply it to your political party if you choose to engage in that, which I do not to apply it to your country, which you engage to do that, and I do not. You apply it to the world. You see, it's what I find interesting and almost humorous is, if aliens really did exist, and maybe they do and maybe they don't, I'm not going to debate that. I have my own personal beliefs on that. But we'll go with they exist and they come to us. What would actually happen to the world is the world would unify. It wouldn't be we're Americans, we're Russians, we're Chinese. It would be we're Earthlings and they're not. Because the ego would lock that tribalism in again. I talked with someone the other day about the States and about the event that happened 25 years ago, 9/11, and how prior to 9/11 we all bickered like children, and then after 9/11 the United States was a unified force and we loved each other and there was patriotism, and now 25 years later we're back to bickering like children again. And when I talked to this person about that, we talked about how it's like a family. We're bickering. We're all in the world. We bicker like a family. But if somebody were to push a spouse, a brother, or a sister, the family'd come together. And that's where we find ourselves right now. The problem is that a lot of the forces that are manipulating the world, they don't want us to come together as a family, because if we do come together as a family, we create unity, strength, and then we create a force that can't be stopped. Change is coming. I do believe that. But what say you? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the concept of ego and separation? And how do you feel about the concept of tribalism? You see, if you're not willing to step out of your tribe and meet others, it's difficult for you to see that we're all the same. It's difficult for you to see that a difference in belief or thought doesn't make a person evil, dastardly, or dangerous. As always, if you enjoy this content, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm truly grateful. Until I talk to you again, peace, love, light. Hope you have the most amazing day.